Welcome to the Old Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my trusty sidekick from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Yeehaw!
Okay.
I
couldn't fit it under the
You must be the
headphones.
power of the dog.
So yeah, we're welcome back to the Old Brother Podcast. We are coming to you with a review of a highly acclaimed film by all accounts. And in fact, the Oscar nominations just came out today. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. But we're going to do a review of The Power of the Dog, which is a film directed by Jane Campion, which I think is her first, is it 12 years that it's been since her last film?
Been 13 years.
13 years?
She's been doing TV, though. It's not like she's been doing nothing.
Right, but just since she's directed a feature, right?
Yeah, and I don't know, how long has since The Piano, which is her last really good piece of work?
I don't know. It's 90 something.
Yeah,
because who was the actress that won?
Holly Hunter.
No. The young at the time.
Oh, in that movie?
Yes.
Jeez, I don't remember.
Remember? And she was in the Vampire.
I know she was Holly Hunter's daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I just can't place
yeah, it'll come to us. We'll have to pull up again, people screaming at the radio or the whatever they're listening or watching us on. So before we jump into that, for those of you that are not currently following us, make sure that you do. And the easiest way to find all things Oh Brother is to go out to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com. That's OHBpodcast.com. You get access to all things Oh Brother out there. And want to, as always, thank everybody that's been subscribing to the YouTube channel. For those of you that have not subscribed already, please go out and subscribe. Hit that like button. That really kind of helps get the episodes and the show out to more and more people, which we're trying to do. So we very much appreciate your support there. And Mike would like to say, not only do all of those things, but on top of that, please make sure that you share the videos with friends and family and loved ones.
Yeah, because if you're watching it, you're probably already subscribed. So just click that little share.
Hit that share button on top of everything. I don't know what I look like a different person this episode. Like,
yeah,
have you noticed?
Hair? Yeah, what's with the hair?
Well, I had the cowboy hat on in honor of the review we're doing, and it kind of matted my hair down. Plus, I got like a Dennis the Menace meets Phil Collins meets, I don't know, Alfred E. Newman thing going on.
Meets Bill Murray.
Meets a bird's nest. And then on top of that, if you notice, I'm sort of clean shaven and I look like, I don't know. It's just, it's shocking to see I'm sure all the viewers and maybe even some of the listeners, quite frankly.
Keep that stuff covered up.
Yeah. Yes. And also I want to thank those that are supporting us out on Patreon. We've got an Oh Brother Podcast Patreon community. And I want to give another shout out to another one of our new Patreon members, Gabby. And this is an interesting story. And for those of you that want to, because Gabby said to me, I actually communicated with her today, said, hey, giving you a shout out on the show tonight. And I said, is it okay if we, mention your Instagram handle? And she was like, yeah, excited for all my new fans to follow me out there. So if you want to take a look at what Gabby's up to, you can find her on Instagram. She's at Gabriella _ la LA _ Paz, Paz. Stay with me, folks.
That's tough one.
Gabriella _ la _ Paz. Well, Kelly's going to do his magic and he's going to put that right up on the screen for everybody.
I like the Gabriella, but the stuff after that.
She said Gabby was fine. So let's just say Gabby. But this is somebody who I've had the distinct pleasure to work with in the past.
She hasn't.
She would agree with that statement. But isn't that from Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
She gave me a bump. So yeah, she would absolutely agree with that statement. So again, big shout out and thanks to Gabby for supporting us. We appreciate it. She did tell me she was going to be joining us as a red carpet member pretty soon. So Gabby, we appreciate that extra support.
I felt a little push there.
Did you feel the push? Yeah,
I felt
maybe a slight nudge.
Yeah.
All right, so were we getting right into the power of the dog? You've got to set it up as you always do.
All right.
Go easy with this setup. Keep it simple. Keep it short. There's a lot going on.
As I always do. I know.
Well, there's a lot going on here with this one. It's
Yeah.
not necessary. In fact,
I'm just going to give the basics.
I was trying to. Someone today asked me, "Oh, what are you doing the episode on?" And I told them, and he said, "Oh, what's it about?" And I found myself as I was describing it, going, "Man, this is not as easy as it seems."
Yeah, halfway through, you were like, "I forget."
Yeah, I think we're doing a different movie, actually.
We were going to do a different movie, actually, but this,
I'm glad you said that.
This got delayed.
With us, it's always something. I mean, this was another round and round, right?
But it got delayed because of an interview we did, and we were going to do it that week, and we sort of forgot about it. And then
right,
that's what happened. And then the awards came out, and the rumors came out,
and then it came.
We forgot.
It came to Netflix in the meantime, which is where, of course, we watched it. Now, I will say this is a movie. I'll get back so you can do the synopsis, but this is a film I would have liked to have seen in the theater. But go ahead, set it up for us.
So it's basically about two brothers. It's 1925. They're ranchers
in Montana.
They're ranchers. They learned it from this guy. The two brothers are played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Nice. Good job. Yeah. No mishap.
I had to do that
very
nice
slowly.
Slow.
I saw that.
And Jesse Plemons.
Yeah.
And they couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah, very dissimilar.
One's very masculine and the guys all follow him, and the other's more of a businessman. So we see them moving cattle across, Montana, and they stop at this, I guess it's like a bar and a place to sleep, like a bed and breakfast for 1925.
Right.
So anyway, it's basically about the two brothers, and then somebody else comes into the picture as one of the brothers, Phil, which is Jesse Plemons, winds up marrying the woman who runs this. I'm going to call it a bed and breakfast for lack of
I like that. I like
terminology.
And say who the actress that plays that in the connection.
That is Kirsten Dunst, who plays that character. And she has a son named Peter, and I don't know his name.
Kodi Smit-McPhee.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's nominated.
He is nominated.
I haven't checked.
He is nominated.
Is he? Okay.
He is. In fact,
was not surprised.
In fact, all four of them are nominated.
Wow.
So you've got Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, and then Kodi Smit-McPhee. They're all nominated.
And I have no problem with that at all because they were all fantastic.
But mention the connection between Kirsten and.
Yeah, Jesse and Kirsten actually got married when they were working on the Coen Brothers TV show.
Fargo,
loosely based on the movie, but there is all sorts of connections through it. And they were season 2 or 3?
I want to say 2.
I think I always forget.
Yeah,
I think it's 3, but
okay,
I'm not sure. Anyway, they're married now. They have 2 kids, and so it was really interesting to see their dynamic play between the two of them being a real life couple. And he's very timid, kind of quiet, and Phil, played by Cumberbatch,
like the groundhog Phil. Yeah, like the groundhog Phil. Sorry, we just did the Groundhog Day episode.
Yeah, you got that stuck. So anyways, we don't get the backstory from the novel. This is based on a novel, The Power of the Dog. And we don't get the backstory of the whole setup. All of a sudden, he brings her home. He's talking to Phil. They're brothers. They literally still sleep in the same room, a cot beside each other. And one day he comes home and Phil's making fun of her and her son. He's a bit effeminate, would you call it?
That's how they described him. Yeah.
Yeah. And he makes fun of her. And then Jesse Plemons says, well, you mean Mrs. Burbank, which is their last name.
Yeah. They ended up getting married.
And they end up getting married, and it sets Phil off. He's so angry and so incensed. He beats up a horse.
Yeah.
He literally beats up a horse. And he's just furious, and he torments the two of them.
We'll have Kelly probably put in some spoiler alerts in this one, because this is another one I think it would be difficult not to. Yeah, it's you can't dance around this one. Plus,
well, you could.
I think a lot of people. No, I don't really think so. But I think a lot of people would have seen this by now already. It's gotten so much.
That's what I think.
You know,
I think you're right, but I think there's a lot of people that probably dismissed it and haven't seen it.
I don't know.
And
Cumberbatch is a pretty big pull. He's a pretty big draw.
Is. And for good reason. But now that the awards came out today,
sure,
it's likely to get some views. I don't know. Oh, you said it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah,
that's what we watched on, right?
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah. It hit Netflix. I think December 1st is when it hit Netflix. So it's fairly recent to the platform. But this was, as we said, Jane Campion directed, and now, in fairness, because this happened to us before, although you tend to see a lot more of the nominated films by the time we're at that point in the season than I do. So I can't certainly, in fairness, evaluate this versus some of the others that are up.
Right.
But if this could easily clean up all the awards, and it would be totally justified. You
think it could go a 5?
I think it could.
The famous
I really do think it could. First of all, it's the directing. There's so many stunning shots. And now this is a real joint venture here, and a very strong collaboration between Jane Campion, the director, and her cinematographer, her director of photography, Ari Wegner.
Yeah.
Who did interesting Lady Macbeth. We did the tragedy of Macbeth not that long ago, but the cinematography.
The music, also mention the music too.
Absolutely.
While you're talking about the credits, was done by.
Is it Johnny Gordon?
See, you're gonna. I was gonna say the guy from Radiohead.
No, hold on.
That makes it a lot easier for me, but I don't.
Johnny Greenwood.
Johnny Greenwood.
Wait, is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead?
I think so.
He's not the lead. So. He's not the lead guy from that's
no, but I think he's a member.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I believe
that.
I read that in my research.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually have the soundtrack right here. I was listening to.
Oh, wow!
And it is the score of this film is.
It's the same
so
person
striking.
Who did the Coen Brothers. There Will Be Blood.
That makes sense.
Doesn't
that totally
makes
see
sense.
The
connection?
I didn't look at the resume, but that makes sense. Yeah, I can see the connection. It's haunting. Yes. It's beautiful. Like, it captures all the different themes and beats of the film itself.
Which there's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them. Yeah. And, probably one of the main ones has to do with even Jane Campion, because I watched a lot of interviews and behind the scenes stuff on this. And she was trying to avoid using the term toxic masculinity, but that's clearly a dominant theme throughout this whole thing, because what you see, this is where I feel like you get into spoiler territory, because you got to talk about the arc of Benedict Cumberbatch's character. And, as you said, it's set in the West, in Montana in 1925, right? He keeps
talking about who taught the
Bronco
brothers.
Henry, right?
So he taunts his brother too. Usually only when they're alone. Calls him Fatso.
He does.
What do you say, Fatso? What's today, Fatso?
Right.
And but when they're in front of the guys, he's like, when they're having a drink, the guys are like, "Hey, we're gonna sit down and have a drink. Not until my brother gets here."
Yeah.
There's
a little bit of a contradiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. And
he is the power of the dog. That terminology comes from the Bible, which we find out at the end of the movie. And I don't want to spoil it and give
Psalm
it away.
22 for those keeping
Yeah,
score.
I don't want to give it away what that means, but the masculinity that Cumberbatch has, he keeps talking about the guy who taught them how to be ranchers. You remember Fatso, what we did 25 years ago? And what was the name of it was
Bronco Henry.
Yeah, Bronco Henry.
Bronco Henry, yeah.
And they keep showing his saddle, and he'll sit on it at times and feel the leather.
This is a big spoiler right here. So Kelly, if you want to put up like a spoiler alert, and, people can fast forward to whatever section, but there's a scene where Benedict Cumberbatch he goes off on his horse and he ends up in a pasture kind of on the banks of
he's always
river,
dirty. He's always
grimy, right?
Always grimy.
And he's laying down in the grass on this hillside, and he pulls out like this scarf.
Yeah.
And he's laying in the sunshine, and he's bare chested, and he's kind of playing with this scarf, and he's draping it across his body. And at one point, very subtly, you see the initials on the scarf, and it says BH. And eventually you connect the dots that it's Bronco Henry. So you start to realize, oh, I see what's going on here. Here's a guy who, certainly not going to come out as openly gay in 1925 in Montana.
He's not just twirling that in the air.
That's right. Well, I was going to get graphic.
Yeah. Okay.
With it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, because it's a very sensual scene. It's very erotic. And it's just Cumberbatch with this silk.
Right.
And at
he's
one
in
point,
the water.
Well, no, at this point he's laying down on the hillside.
Right. Right.
And he puts the scarf down his pants at one point, and and he's kind of closing his eyes, and it's like very intense.
Right.
And so you get a glimpse into his actual personality or character or orientation, right? It's not clearly all of this masculinity, the fatso, all of this stuff. It's this front that he's putting on, right? Because that's the expectation at that point, the pressure.
And you notice early on when they stop for the food and they're at the bed and breakfast, and a bunch of girls come in, and a guy starts playing the piano, and they're all dancing, and he puts an end to it. Like, you better turn that piano off or I'm going to fire. He pulls out his gun. He's like, or we're not going to hear anything.
You've got a real twisted memory of this whole scene.
Why?
First of all, you just mashed up two scenes together, which is great. And then he pulls out he didn't pull out a gun, but he did threaten them. He said, if you don't turn that down, I will.
Right.
You know? And
they all get up and leave.
Oh yeah. Immediately. But,
I bring up that because, these girls aren't there for, they're there for a reason, because the riders stop there.
They're prostitutes. You can say it. So you're talking about Cumberbatch masturbating in a field and you can't say prostitutes. Mike's suddenly trying to clean up the episode.
No, I'm just...
We're in our third season.
Not to give away as much. I'm trying not to give away as much.
What is
also you
got to do with anything?
You didn't point out how the spot that he gets to by the river that, and it's not really even a river because it's more like a pond.
Yeah, right. That's right.
He's laying by it. There's a secret entrance. You have to move these, and you have to crawl on your hands and knees to get there. So it's clearly a spot he doesn't want people to find.
Right.
And the boy comes along the spot. He notices that it's kind of a makeshift door, opens it. He crawls through and he catches Cumberbatch in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And that sets off him again,
right,
chasing him.
Yes.
Through the woods.
Right. And you get to see all of Doctor Strange in that scene. A little
Jane Campion.
You get to see all of the piano, Cumberbatch. Yeah.
And the piano, it was who was the actor?
Was it from Jurassic Park? Was it him? The guy I have very vague memories of the piano. I know he was in it, but maybe not the character you're thinking about.
Who are you thinking?
He's the only male actor I can remember from the piano. I can't think of his name. He's the lead in, what is it?
Harvey.
Go back to the Honeymooners.
No, Harvey.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to. You know what's stuck in my head?
You want to say Harvey Keitel?
Exactly.
I got you.
You know what's in my head is Harvey Dent.
Well, because the guy's name, if you got to get it, go get it, because he's in Jurassic Park. Come on, folks.
Well, no, I'm thinking it's Harvey Dent. Not Harvey. Lord.
It's Billy D. Williams.
You were right. It's Harvey Keitel.
No, it's not Harvey. Oh,
it is Harvey Keitel.
Oh, is it Harvey? See, I don't even remember him from the piano. Okay.
He's in the piano.
Okay. Well, I have to tell you.
And we see him full on nude. Like he falls in love with, he falls in love with Holly Hunter. And at one point, he's just standing in a room naked.
Sam Neill is who I was thinking of.
Right.
Sam Neill.
He's the one who abuses her.
I would rather have seen Sam Neill naked. But anyways, Bad Lieutenant, anyone? Bad Lieutenant?
Yeah, okay. I know.
Let's see if
people like that movie.
Pull up. Really?
Yeah.
It's been redone and there's been a sequel. Okay, getting way off track here.
Yeah, I know. Way off track.
Going back to what you just talked about. I mean, the point of all of this is that there are certain discoveries in the film. You just described the whole scene about Peter and stumbling upon this sort of hidden area where these artifacts are and these magazines and things, where Bronco Henry is featured on these magazines. Like, is this guy, was he a bodybuilder or something? It's like very sort of, risque photos of this guy, and he's real buff and everything. So all of this stuff starts to paint the picture of, like I said, Cumberbatch's character is actually gay.
Right.
But it's all this, repression that he's gone through.
Yeah. And then there's an interesting scene where they're looking out on the mountains, and
that landscape.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Just so striking. Now
of the shots, this movie's made for those big wide
and
shots.
You said to me, where was this set in? And I said, Montana. He said, I was thinking Nebraska. I think maybe because this was filmed in New Zealand. Is that why it was stuck in your head? Maybe the end.
Yeah, maybe. But her shots, her gorgeous. Narrow shots of the town.
It's gorgeous.
And the way she shows, it's just great. But a weird thing happens where he starts taking Peter, the son of Kirsten Dunst, under his wing.
Now, Phil. This is right after he comes upon him in the water. Yes. Sees him bathing, and you said that Cumberbatch's character, runs after him.
Right.
So you think it's going to go a certain way following that, and it's just the opposite.
It goes the opposite, and you think but in your head, you're like, is he a spider trying to catch something in the web?
Yeah, like this is a way to manipulate him so he won't say anything because he's kind of discovering his secret life. Right. That's where I thought it was going.
Yes. And instead they come upon the mountains, and he says, you look on those mountains, you know what Bronco Henry saw? And Peter, to Phil's astonishment, says, well, it looks like a dog with his mouth open. He's about to, and Phil's blown away that he sees that. And he takes him under his wings, teaches him how to ride a horse, and then while the others are still making fun of him.
And he starts then creating a rope for him.
Correct.
Which is an important piece of the story.
The whole time, the music is giving away that something's going to happen, something bad.
Now we should say Peter, Kodi Smit-McPhee's character, at one point in the story, maybe midway, or actually earlier in the story, he goes off to medical school.
Correct.
Because he wants to become
She sends him away, yes. She also doesn't want him near Phil.
Right. And then he returns, and all of these subsequent events take place.
So, as I was saying, the music gives away that something bad is going to happen. we don't know what. I kept thinking, maybe it was going to involve, he's tormenting the hell out of Kirsten Dunst. Peter, Jesse Plemons, brings the mayor and his father and mother, who are big society people, into the house. So Kirsten Dunst, he also buys her a piano.
Peter's the son. You said Jesse Plemons.
Right.
No.
So
Peter is played by Kodi Smit-McPhee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were just messing. Yeah. You're talking about Jesse Plemons, though.
Jesse Plemons
was George.
George.
Right.
So George brings these, important people. They want to talk to Phil, because Phil, although he's a smelly cowboy.
Where did he go to school?
It was a big
Yale.
Yeah. I was going to say Yale, but I thought it might have been another. I thought it was Reed first.
And he's a pretty accomplished,
he's well-educated
banjo player.
Yes. So Jesse Plemons brings these people. So Kirsten Dunst.
It's the governor.
Piano.
It's
right.
the
governor, his parents too. This is the first time his parents meet them.
Right.
And she is all. It's Phil that's been messing with her, because as she's trying to play this song, Phil's up there playing the banjo perfectly. He's playing the song, and he's almost taunting her with the song, because she can't get.
Oh, he's totally getting into her head.
And then he would whistle it when he would see her.
Right.
And then he finds out that she's hiding alcohol all over the joint. That's how she's dealing with her.
It's an old brother special.
No, it's a 1925.
It's all over the joint.
They called them joints.
It's not a bed and breakfast. It's a joint. So they stop off at this other joint.
Yeah. So anyway, I believe I said joint.
That's Dude so Ranch. Funny. Yeah,
that's so funny.
That is good.
But he at one point he's looking out the window, and she's in this. It's in an alley, and she's got booze hidden all over the place. And every time she reaches for the booze and he catches her, he starts whistling the tune. And again, that causes her great anxiety.
Again, he's playing head games with her. And exactly. that's some of the finest acting in this is Kirsten Dunst and her that anxiety and nervousness that she's when she's trying to, they're trying to get her to perform in front of the governor.
Right.
It's just so
it got so bad she wouldn't play. She wouldn't play a note.
Right.
It got so bad.
Now
so the whole time I'm like, he's gonna attack her. There's no question in my mind. He's gonna rape her. He's gonna do something to her. Meanwhile, there's another plot.
He's gonna smack her all over the joint.
Yeah, he's gonna beat her from one side of that joint
to the other.
To the other.
Oh my goodness gracious. Kelly, put some sort of disclaimer up here for the
I don't want to go any further than that as far as
and you're getting, I feel like you're getting into the weeds a little bit with the details. Let's step back a little bit and talk about the film, just the film itself, the performances,
the different joints
that were featured. I mean, the one thing I want to mention too, because they talk about it, one of these interviews I had watched, which they were in New York at, I don't know, the New York Film Institute or something.
Look at you doing the deep dive.
Yeah, it was
must have been the homoerotic stuff.
There's actually a 30-minute behind the scenes thing on Netflix. So I mean, there's a great documentary right there on Netflix. Yeah. And so there's if you see the film, there's an incredible these two shots that kind of bookend the film. And it's this tracking shot from inside one of the joints, looking out the window. It's looking out one window and you see Phil walking by in his, Western wear.
Right.
And it keeps tracking as he passes by, then it goes like you see the wall and then the next window, right?
Yes.
It's just such a marvelous tracking shot. And it's almost the same shot that virtually concludes the film, really.
Right.
Ties it all together.
Right.
But again, there's so many little, this is one of those ones where you can just pause the film at any point and it would look like the most stunning photograph. Now, if you remember, Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, who, as you mentioned, are actually married in real life. There's a scene with the two of them are driving, and, you know, this is the early days of the Model T Ford or whatever, you know, just getting cars. And they pull off to the side of the road and they are on the hillside or something. And in the distance is the mountain range.
Yeah.
It is one of the most stunning images. Like, I could imagine.
I thought you were going to talk about his performance.
Well, I'm getting to that. Yeah. I just thought, you know, geez, getting a portrait of that, you know, moment in time for the two of them. I would imagine they requested that, like, get that framed. It was so striking to see on film. But yeah, the scene between the two of them was so intense, very understated, very understated. But Plemons, before you know it, turns around and walks away a little bit out of the frame. And you're like, is he? And then you realize he's like a tear.
Yep.
It's just coming down his face. And he makes a statement to her. You know, she's like, what's wrong? And he says, it's just nice not to be alone.
Yeah.
I mean,
great sequence.
Wow, it was so good.
Great
so
sequence.
Good. I mentioned the cinematography, the score you talked about. Yeah. That was haunting, like this cello and the piano in it. And you mentioned
really, when I make that reference to the Coen brothers, boy,
right, there would be blood.
There's a couple of threads there that just look at, you know, it's just very similar.
Very similar, yeah. This is Rotten Tomatoes, 94%.
But not the real critics. High for fans, right?
85.
Okay.
That's a very solid.
IMDb is a lot lower.
Yeah, it's very
like in
fresh.
The 60s, but the critics way high, and it's
just over 2 hours, but it didn't feel long to me. I think. Oh, and have you ever? I should have said this at the top. Have you ever seen a more tense film from start to finish? The tension in this film, the way she built that through the shots and the score and all that.
That's what I kept saying to you. Something bad's going to happen.
Right.
That music just was.
It built you up and built you up, and it didn't always pay off when you thought it would, and that keeps that suspense, you know. And
I thought
really, that was riveting.
The ending. It's the complete opposite of what I was suspecting.
Now there was to a degree it was. And there's an interesting, now Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst, they didn't talk at all while they were on set.
Really?
They didn't speak at all. He stayed in character the whole time.
So he's kind of a method dude.
He was for this. There was like a conscious choice that he made. And they would get together on the weekends, and he wouldn't, you know, it wasn't that deep, like maybe our
like
friend
Sean Penn or something.
Well, I was going to mention from There Will Be Blood, or The Boxer, or any others. Why do I want to say, or the Phantom Thread? Help me out. Lincoln, The Star. You don't know it either?
No, I know. I'm watching you sweat.
Well, no, I just can't pull his name out at all. It's not that I'm saying it wrong. I can't get it. See, I don't think you know it either. He's so well known. We don't even know who he is.
He's the best. He's like
one of the greatest actors of all time. In the Name of the Father. And this is ridiculous. Why do I want to say Danny? Why do I? That was his character's name in The Boxer.
In The Boxer.
Okay, here's what we got to do, folks. Got to go through the alphabet, A, B, C, D, until you get it. Mike's going to pull it out here. I have faith. This is the saddest moment.
This is
on Oh Brother podcast.
Because he is literally like our favorite actor.
My Left Foot. He was nominated.
Day-Lewis.
Danny.
It was Danny. Right.
Yeah, but Daniel. Okay. So Daniel Day-Lewis.
That was
so he didn't go that
when we
deep
were doing trivia and you brought up Hitchhiker's Guide and there was a character. I was like, it was Martin Freeman.
Oh,
and the reason I bring him up is because he's Watson to Cumberbatch's Sherlock.
Oh, right. Okay.
So the two of them.
And there's also a Fargo connection in there. with Martin Freeman. He was in a series of Fargo.
Yes, he was in Fargo.
And Plemons, and yeah, there's a lot of
Right.
connections there.
But you've got to see Sherlock. You got to see Cumberbatch and Sherlock. And if you haven't, if you've only seen him from Doctor Strange, which I can't even believe that would be the case.
For me, it sort of is.
Really?
It's kind of how I was introduced to him. Yeah, I don't recall, knowingly seeing any of his other films. And in fact, so much so that, they were talking about how this was a departure from anything he's really done previously.
Yeah.
Certainly, obviously outside the Avengers, but
if you see him in Sherlock, he's very eccentric, which I thought Phil was kind of.
But this is
eccentric.
A whole nother. The vulnerability that he has to inhabit for this character, and
we were talking about awards earlier. You brought that up at the beginning, and I'm not far enough along with all of, I haven't seen Kenneth Branagh's movie yet, Belfast. There's a couple of movies I got to see, but right now, Cumberbatch has the award in my book, but
he does.
I've got to see a couple more performances.
Honestly, I could see them all take home their respective
They were
awards.
all fantastic.
They were all fantastic.
And I could see myself rooting for them that night.
Each of the main characters that we've talked about, they really have their own intense arc that they go throughout the film. Very different. And it was interesting. One of the things that came out in the panel discussion that I had watched with it was all of them except Plemons wasn't there at the time. They talked about how Kodi Smit-McPhee's character, Peter, of all the characters, and he was very effeminate, like you said, and the way he dressed and everything, and his body language. And
he's so skinny, you think the wind is going to blow him down.
So skinny, yeah, so skinny. And Kodi himself refers to himself as effeminate, and asexual, but talks about how his father in real life is like 6'6". He's like a biker with tattoos, so he related to that aspect of the character. But ironically, his character was the most comfortable in his own skin. So it's kind of a fascinating. And
he's also intellectually right up there with Phil.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe more so than Phil even realizes.
Correct.
So this was, look at Jane Campion. I mean, this should be another win for a female director. This is a spectacular film.
Yeah, she got nothing for the piano. That wasn't even.
This is just spectacular.
This is, probably better than that.
They got together, Cumberbatch did a lot of pre-work. He went out to Montana, went to a ranch, got trained, learned how to ride, how to rope, how to play banjo.
That doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And they worked together for several months before they even started shooting. Like, I think he and Jane partnered up for like 8 months prior. Same thing with her cinematographer, Ari Wegner. They were together for like a year. She wanted, because they work very similarly. They're both very sort of meticulous.
Did they work together before or
not?
No?
I don't think so. Well, listen, this one is a must watch. And again, this is one I wished I had seen on the big screen.
I agree. And although we say that, we're not exactly watching them on 10-inch, Panasonics.
Right.
Although I'm hesitant to like fully say, oh, you're going to love this because I'm afraid it's going to be like one of those snobbish kind of issues where people are like,
there's nothing snobbish about it. There's nothing snobbish about it. This is deserving.
But this isn't Groundhog Day. You know what I'm saying?
Groundhog's a comedy. This is a Western psychological thriller, right? It's totally different genre. Plus, this is the art of filmmaking. This is directing, cinematography, the music, the acting, the story. It checks every box.
Yeah.
Every box.
I
was
agree.
satisfied with the conclusion. There wasn't anything about it that I can find fault with. I've got to be honest. And I don't think I've felt this strongly about a film probably since we saw Nomadland.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about all the ones we've been looking at and talking about.
And that one director and movie. So
this is masterful
and
work.
actress.
It really is. It is stunning.
I agree.
It's stunning.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, if I was back in my film teaching days, I would have to use this, or at least parts of this film, to show some of the cinematography and some of the directing. That one shot you described.
You used to teach all over the joint too.
I don't know why that came out, but that's how I talk.
All right. So anything else to say about the power of the dog? Because certainly people are going to be continuing to talk about this film for a while.
We didn't give away the
ending.
The ending, and we didn't give away why that is so significant.
There's still plenty to take in with this one, but it's going to get a lot more buzz, a lot more talk, I think, especially like you said, now that it's got, you know, the Oscar buzz behind it, as deservedly so.
If you're a fan of Cumberbatch, it's a must, no-brainer.
Or any of these actors, for quite frankly.
Yeah. It's really a no-brainer. And, you know, it's good to see Kirsten Dunst. The last couple of films, you know, she's not playing the teenager, you know, she's growing up. She's growing into herself so well on film. Because I forget what the last film we saw with her, or maybe I'm thinking of Fargo, because she was really good in Fargo. But she's out of that. I'm the you know,
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man or cheerleader or whatever, you know.
This is long behind her. Yeah, no, she's really, really stunning in this film.
This is a great
performance. Yeah, it really is. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Oh Brother podcast. Again, if you're not currently following us, make sure that you do. Go out to our official website, which of course is ohbasandbrotherpodcast.com. That's ohbpodcast.com. The one, the only Oh Brother podcast, often imitated, never duplicated. And we're going to be coming back next week with another heavy hitter. And then we've got, you know, we're working on some, as we said in the past, get some additional interviews, hopefully later in the month. You know, we try to line things up and coordinate calendars and things like that. But yeah, this was a great take. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. So go check out The Power of the Dog. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.